because he treats people good, if they don't change, they're going to be destroyed. That's just the way it is. You remove God from your vocabulary or you work against God, you're going to be destroyed. You're going to go into the lake of fire. And that was the example. Now, many might say, well, what kind of God is this? He's the God that parted the Red Sea, that freed them after 400 years of captivity, that nursed them, tended them, blessed them, gave them a leader, protected them from the elements, and then they would not obey him? Why keep them around? They're worthless. That non-believers, the enemies of Christianity, the enemies of Jesus Christ. You don't need them. So everyone has the privilege to worship as they choose, but we have one judge. And a wise person naturally is going to be pleasing to that judge. Verse 6, and the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Well, what is that great day? The Lord's day. It is written what these are. What were the angels that did not maintain their place of habitation? Well, where are angels supposed to inhabit? Heaven. They're supposed to be with God, not down here with flesh man. But in Genesis 6, they looked down and they saw a flesh woman, the daughters of Adam. And they were beautiful. And as much as there were no women before, the flesh age was designed with a womb that would bring each soul through this earth age one time. Rather than being born to woman, they did as Satan directed them. They came to earth, as it is written so plainly a child can understand it, in Genesis chapter 6. And rather than being born to woman, they seduced woman. That's why Noah's flood came to be, because hybrids were born. They were called Geber in the Hebrew tongue. That's giants. They were not natural. They were, you might say, well, how could the fallen angels impregnate a daughter of Adam? Adam was made in the image of God and the angels. Manna, angel's food, sustains a flesh man. They are able to impregnate. Okay. So don't make any big thing about that. You do know what happened in the garden, don't you? So this was Satan's second attempt to destroy the daughters of Adam, that Christ could not come through Eve's offspring. And they left that place of habitation, and for that, God put them in chains. That's what this book of Jude is relaying. And they are being held the same as Satan is until they're coming back. They're going to be kicked out right back onto this earth. It's written, guaranteed, in Revelation chapter 12, verses 6 and 7, Satan and his fallen angels, Nephilim, will be cast to this earth. And woe to those on the earth, but rejoice in heaven. They're out of here. They're gone. But what about you here on earth? Do you know what to do about it? It's the reign of the Antichrist, and we have power over them. It is written, when the seventh trump sounds, in the 11th chapter of Revelation, that 7,000 will die in Jerusalem when the two witnesses rise from the Patha, the street, arena. Those 7,000 are these. They don't need judgment. They've already been judged. And they are held for death when they finish their last act. And many are going to say, well, Jesus never taught this. Oh, yes, he did. You've never read the 24th chapter of Matthew if you don't believe Jesus taught it. What did Jesus say? He first gives you the 7 events that transpire or consummate the end of this age. They're the 7 trumps, the 7 seals, and the 7 vials. He gives them in Matthew 24, and he gives them in Mark 13, all 7 of them in line. And as he completes, he says, as a reminder, in that 24th chapter of Matthew, it's going to be just like it was in the days of Noah. Well, what was that? Genesis 6, when the fallen angels were here. They're again going to be marrying and giving in marriage to the fallen ones. Dancing, drinking, and making merry. And Paul also would teach this, and that's Christ teaching it. He said it's going to happen. Are you learned from the Word? This is why Jude said, yeah, I'd like to just talk about sweet things, but I've got to warn you about what's going to happen. And it's going to. Paul in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 10 makes it very clear. He said, every woman in the last generation had better have a covering over her head, and naturally that covering is Christ, not a hat, not hair. It's Christ. In verse 10, why? Because of the angels. They're coming back. They're coming back to seduce woman again, if that were possible. So that's what these wicked, evil, abominable men are held at this time, but they're going to be booted out. That's why when they come, it begins the woe trumps. And there's 3 woes and 3 woe trumps. But let there be no great mystery in this. It's written in God's Word, and Jude is doing an excellent job of exhorting. That means holding you to the mark to understand what God's overall plan is. And those that did leave that habitation, they bring it upon themselves. And verse 7, let's continue. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, their sister cities, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, that means men with men and so forth, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. And God is that consuming fire. You know, it is written in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10, that when God returns, he is a consuming fire, and he's going to start a fire, and he's going to destroy, most people believe, this whole world, but it's the elements of this world. The station in the Greek are rudiments in English, meaning just the bad. He's going to destroy the bad elements. There's a great separation about to transpire, and that's as it is. That's as it is. People are people, and people will continue until God's word is complete. Verse 8. Likewise, also, these filthy